Are there any specific unique gaps which in leadership development per se, which you believe AI can fill in? I think you spoke about scaling already. Cost effectiveness obviously is a part of it. What are some other pieces which you believe as a leader in a large organization leading a large business? What do you think AI coaching can fill in, which traditional approaches have struggled to address?
Well, so I mean, look, scale, I think, is the killer part of the app. The ability to actually sort of have an impact and do incremental improvement with thousands and thousands of people as opposed to, a dozen or something like that is definitely the thing that I'm most focused on. But as I think about it, there's a lot of other stuff that's kind of going on that's a real benefit. Like I've worked in companies where we do surveys of the employee population, and we're very proud of it. And we sort of chase after people like, hey, we've at 72% of the workforce have completed this survey. Let's get to 90, everybody. And maybe we do it once a year, maybe we do it twice a year, and you kind of get a moment in time. How is the entire population feeling? What are their concerns? It becomes, I think, kind of a very different way to look at a business than what you would get from something that people interact with every day or maybe even once a week, right? Where you can kind of get like that automatic pulse check. And if I'm in HR or if I'm just a leader of a company, that data is way more interesting to me and way more relevant than a one-time survey that may have occurred right after something that happened, some other major thing that happened in someone's life, right? And so you can actually kind of like watch essentially the happiness index or the concern index of your business sort of like change over time and sort of understand a little bit more intuitively what are some things that are happening either in how you're interacting with your team or in how the business is doing or just in the pressure that people are kind of feeling in the business. And you can react to that a little bit better. So I feel like it's one of the secret superpowers of it is that you get this window into your organization that didn't exist before. The other thing that I think a lot about is especially now, I see so many sort of generational misunderstandings, I think, that happen. I think a lot about the Gen X leadership is kind of on its way out, right? And the millennial leadership of like large organizations is coming in. And so I still see a lot of people that are sort of desperately trying to apply, I would argue, sort of Gen X principles on the way that we have to work, right? And so like a lot of things that they felt like made their careers really impactful, the way businesses used to run, the kind of interactions, they're like desperately trying to figure out how we can get back to some of those. And I would argue that millennials value them less and they value other things more. And so sometimes I think through this coaching, you can actually provide stuff that's more impactful for millennials, for Gen Z, for all these other generations that are way more digitally fluent, that are way more comfortable in forming far more meaningful interactions digitally, and not as reliant on a lot of the traditional ways that I would argue sort of Gen X sort of like organically sort of like learned to kind of become better leaders.